And again, right now, this is a grant site. So acceptance and post-acceptance sections. Let's talk about the grant site first of all. So what is the usual use of those sections? So you award your applicant, and then after you award your applicant, you usually do an award agreement. And an award agreement can be created as an acceptance section, meaning that the applicant would have this section on their dashboard, and it could be a means to where either you have them just upload the award agreement you've sent to this previously, or you can actually create a section with the language of your award agreement. If it's the same message to all your applicants, you can create that section for that award agreement. And I'll just kind of show you an example here on the site that I have. In the application build, you'll see this award agreement section. And so if I do a little preview of that, you can kind of see here, again, we're picking up information that came from the original application. We're linking those items from their original application. And then of course we can give them award amount, and then we can give them the terms of their specific agreement. And then they can sign off on it. You can have additional attachments where they can collect that information. And then you can also have them sign off on it if they have any questions on anything. And so that's one way, and that's an acceptance section. And then after they've accepted the award, you can then also have post-acceptance sections, which come after the agreement, of course. And those are usually like your grant evaluation report, those quarterly reports that you're trying to capture midstream. You might have quarterly, you might have annual reports. You can actually create those as sections in the application form. And then once they complete them, then you would know that they've completed them, and you can go in and set the deadlines on those and create those as post-acceptance. So acceptance agreements, they would complete that, and along with the acceptance functionality, we usually have an accept button. And so what happens is the applicant clicks that accept button, and then their status moves to accepted for an award. So then you would usually make these grant evaluation reports to be triggered to show only if they've accepted that award, and they would have a post-acceptance. And then those would have a special functionality, which we'll get into how that's built. It's built the same for scholarships as it is for grants. It's just you may have a different use for those functionalities. So agreement first, and then the quarterly reports. And some don't even do the agreement. They just jump straight to the post-acceptance, and then they just use the post-acceptance functionality and for the quarterly reports. So whatever works best for your process is how that can be set up. And then for the scholarship site, of course, kind of the same type of thing. On scholarship sites, you may award your applicants, and then after they've been awarded, of course, their status is going to go to selected for an award. Same with grants, their status is going to go selected for an award. And then you may have an acknowledgement that you want to give to your applicants. So this acceptance section, this actually has two, because I have a section here for this specific process. We have a section to where we're notifying them of the awards they've received. It's going to give them the award amount. They accept it by saying yes, and then they sign off on it. And then as soon as they do that within the same process, this section here, after they say yes in this one, will then start giving them more details, because with scholarships, you probably have different messages for each individual scholarship. So I've created different messages that the applicant can receive, and it's based on that award question that they just answered in that prior section. And if that award question contains that specific award, then the information would show for that, and that would be their agreement. And then they can sign off on that. They can see the information for the specific awards, and then they can sign off on it. Also with scholarships, you may want to incorporate a thank you letter. After they've accepted their award, you might want to create post-acceptance sections. They've accepted it. Their status has now gone to award accepted. So now after they've accepted it, maybe you need to know where to send the check for their scholarships, the college information. that sort of thing. You can create those as acceptance sections, as well as thank you letters if you've incorporated the thank you letter process. We have two ways you can do this. You can actually create where here in this illustration, you have thank you letters where they're uploading it, and then of course you could do the same thing, tie logic to each thank you letter, and then they can upload a thank you letter for each one of those scholarships. Or we also have a special thank you letter functionality that you can maintain. That is a whole other training session as to how to set that up. But that would be where they have an essay box. That essay box is tied to the specific fund that they've been awarded. They complete that essay box, and then there's a functionality where you can go in, see when they've completed that thank you letter, and then you as the admin would have the ability to then send an email that contained that essay in it, and then send that to the donor via the donor's email that's set up in the fund setup. So there is another training session on that. If you'd like to view that, then please let us know, and we can send you the video on how that's set up. And so that's a nice functionality where you as the admin have control of sending it to the donor. The applicant just creates an essay paragraph, you add that to a specific email template that you've created, and then you send it to the donor. So again, that's a thank you letter, but those are usually done as post-acceptance sections. So that's the scenarios for the common uses of the two different sites, the grant users for their grant agreements and the quarterly reports, scholarships to notify the applicants, do an agreement also, and then capturing college information and thank you letters after that, the acceptance portion. So then how does it work? So when creating acceptance sections, both of these sections are triggered to appear after the applicant has been awarded. And remember in talking, if you were in the Manage Awards multiple funds, or you were in the Manage Awards one fund, after you award your applicant, their status goes to selected for award. That's the next status in the system that has an automatic trigger. It goes to selected for award. And then you can have this acceptance sections appear based on that status. So as soon as the applicant gets to the status of selected for award, and we go ahead and set it on these three, you'll know here why in here in a minute. We'll set it as selected for an award. As soon as that status changes to selected for an award, this section is now present on their dashboard. And then also on their dashboard, when you put them to selected for award, they have an accept button. And so when you create an acceptance section, you usually incorporate instructions in that telling them to complete the section. Then once they've completed the section, they need to return to their dashboard, and there'll be an accept button that they need to select, and that will finalize the acceptance of their award. As soon as they click that accept button, the next status is award accepted. And so then that's where the post-accepted section would come in. We would have the post-acceptance section, and here that section would be triggered to appear only if it was award accepted. Same with the grant site. Selected for an award, you would have your award agreement appear, and so that would be triggered to appear when it's selected for an award, award accepted, even if it's award declined. And then once they click that accept button, then you could have the grant evaluations start appearing on their dashboard based on the award accepted status. As you can see here, award accepted, then they would get that evaluation report. So that happens, not the grant evaluation, but the post-accepted section is set on the selected, the acceptance section is set on the selected for an award. So if you wanted to, if you didn't want the applicant to see that section right away, one way you can get around that is, right now it's set as soon as it's selected for an award. But if you come here and deactivate that section, like all your post-accepted sections, maybe you want to go ahead and deactivate them, you can. And you can control by deactivating it when your applicants see that. So let's say I want to award my applicant, then send them an email telling them to return to their application form and complete this acceptance section. I can put that in my message, send that to them, and then as soon as I send it to them, come back here, reactivate it by selecting it and clicking save, and then it'll be on their dashboard. So if I don't want them to get it right away, I can just come here, unselect it, and even though they're at selected for an award, unselect it and save. You always want to hit save. And even though they are selected for award, they will not see this until I actually come here and activate it. But you want to make sure you always remember, if you do deactivate them, that you do come here and activate them, because they're going to go to their application form and they're not going to see that. So that's the important step. If you do remove the activation, remove it and click save so they don't get it till you notify them, then it's very important that you make sure you come back here, select it, and click save before they will be able to see it on their dashboard. And then the same with our grant users. You may have quarterly reports, and as soon as they complete their agreement, their status has gone to award accepted. You don't want them going in the next day and completing your evaluation report, so it might be good to just keep them unselected, and then unselect them, click save. If you have like 4 quarterly reports, say yes, click OK. And then when it's time for the first quarterly report, just come in here, select it, click save, and now notify them that that quarterly report's there for them to complete. Then when they're done, you would leave that active, but then next quarter comes around, select it, make it active, click save, and then send a notification that it's ready for them to complete. That's how you can control it manually on the back end. So even though they've hit those statuses, if it hasn't been activated here with this check mark, then they will not see those on their dashboard. But otherwise, if they are active, it'll all be controlled based on the status triggers that you set when you build the section. So let's just kind of talk a little bit about how those sections are built. They're very simple. They're built like any other section. The only thing is when we build those sections, for instance, this acknowledgement section, when we build an acceptance section, we're going to tell the system the section type is acceptance. We're going to come down here on the status, and we're going to put it selected for an award, award accepted, and award declined. We do award declined because when they get that when they are first selected for an award, there's an accept button, but there's also a decline button. Maybe they don't want to accept the award. Maybe they want to decline it. So as soon as they click either the award accepted button or the award declined button, their status is no longer going to be selected for an award. It's going to be either award accepted or award declined. So you may still want these sections to appear when they move to those next levels, just so that it's always on their dashboard. So that's why we select these 3. Now, those sections, like I mentioned earlier, do have their own deadline, acceptance and post-acceptance. So you say section deadline, and then here is where you would put the deadline for that specific section. If you were a grant user and you had quarterly reports, this would be the due date of that quarterly report. You would release it to them on the day you want them to start, but then the due date is the date that that section would be needing to be completed. And it will show on their dashboard, that section, and it will show the deadline date underneath the section so they know when it is. But some do like to go ahead and put it in the instructions here on that section as well. And then acceptance sections do not need a submit button, because remember, we have that accept button. And so in your instructions, a lot of times we encourage individuals to put in their instructions or even a message in the actual build of the section, like a question message that says, once you've done completing this section, you must return to the dashboard and click the accept button. And then lock after submit, you do want to put no on these because they've submitted their application. So if they've submitted their application, it would lock this section down. And so you do not want this section locked down. You want them to be able to complete it. So you do want to put lock after submit as no. And of course, when you create it, then you would just save and exit. That's acceptance sections. That's that first level, and you would want them to click the accept button. Now, to know if they've completed that section, when they click the accept button, their status goes to award accepted. So anytime you see an applicant that says award accepted, you know that they've completed that section on their dashboard. Now, post-accepted sections always come usually after the acceptance. They don't have to, but if you've already used that award accepted button, post-accepted sections have a special report that work along with them. And the reason that is because they usually do fall after that award accepted status. And so usually there's no other status triggers in the system. So post-accepted sections have a special report. And so when we build post-accepted sections, we do a couple of things. So I'm going to click on the edit here. We tell the system it's a post-acceptance section type. And then we set the status that we want them to receive it. So more than likely, if we're using the awarding, they've been selected for an award, then they go to award accepted. So then this is when they would get this after they've accepted that award. So we would have this appear on award accepted. Some do it unselected for an award. Maybe you don't want to go through that whole agreement process. You might want to do it outside the system. It's just you want to make sure you set this at the status that they will be at. And then of course it has its own deadline. You enter that deadline date. Again, you have the lock after submit as no. But here, the section itself will have a submit button at the very bottom. So where that save and exit is on the application form for the applicant, they now have a submit button. You must have this submit button on post-acceptance sections because that's how the system knows that they have completed that section.